What's up YouTube? We are back with another video. Today we're taking a look at the third silhouette from the Adidas Revolution. It is the Messi 15.1. So, let's get right into it. So guys, before we even get into this, I'm going to go out and say right now, it took me a few minutes to figure out how to open this. Messi always has a little bit different boxing than the normal Adidas with his boots, and these are no different. If you take a look at it, there's no seams across the top, and then it looks like this is what would pull out, but what I couldn't figure out was that this actually just opens up just like that. So taking a look at the inside, you can see it says I've won nothing until I've won everything, with the Messi signature and the logo up top, and then opposite that you have the Messi logo that continues down towards the box. So, opening these up, take the boots off, put those to the side for a second. You can see inside the box you do have that detailing throughout. So put that off to the side. Take a look at the bag. On one side you see it says Adidas football in white against that kind of sky blue, and then the other side you have that sky blue with the white Messi branding, and then some detailing in gray and a darker blue down the side of the bag with white strings. So as we take a look at the boots here, the official colorway is matte ice metallic, black, and yellow. You can see it is a bit metallic, as they said, coming through the white there. And it's a very kind of slate blue is how I would describe it. But matte ice metallic is what the official colorway is listed as. Taking a look around the back, you can see they do have the Adidas branding in black with the yellow outline. This actually is like a rubbery material that comes up a bit. If you take a look, you can see some of the depth there. So this is like on top, it's not just a graphic printed. So that's one thing to note that's kind of cool. And coming around, you can see you still have that same matte ice, although it's no longer metallic, around the back of the heel with some black in there. And then as you switch back to the front, this is where it comes back to that metallic finish for that synthetic upper that makes up the usable playing surface. The laces again are that same shade of kind of pale sky blue. You do have the Messi branding on the tongue in yellow. And then the cage that we'll talk about a little bit later is a bit of a darker aqua shade of blue. And flipping around to the bottom, just a quick look at it, you've got the black frame with the yellow studs over that same blue outsole. So, getting to some of the technical details, this boot is a synthetic boot. Unlike with the other two boots, which do look like they will have a leather upper version coming soon, this boot doesn't look like it has any plans for a leather version in the future. If you can see it right there, but I'll give you guys a little bit more of a detailed shot. The upper does have a bit of texturing to it. You can see almost like the Vapor 9 with the dimpling technology across the upper. You definitely can feel that texture to it, just a slight dimpling throughout that synthetic upper area. Just to give you a little bit more of grip on the ball. Working our way up from the synthetic upper, we make our way to this 3D cage that wraps all the way around the back of the heel. This cage connects right into the top 4 lace holes. However, it isn't fully connected, so you can see you can pull these out, but as you lace these tight, it will pull the cage tighter, obviously, giving you a really snug fit. Personally, I don't know how necessary this is. Just taking a look at it, you can see it is pretty bulky. It's this flexible plastic, but it seems really bulky on this boot and makes this boot much heavier than it appears. At least that's one thing that's making it a bit heavier. With this boot looking like it's supposed to be aimed at replacing the F50, it's a bit interesting that they added something that's so bulky and kind of cumbersome, in my opinion. As I mentioned, that 3D cage comes around across the top of the heel, over that internal heel counter, and is symmetrical on the inside of the boot. Not that I would recommend this, but if you didn't like this because it is able to be pulled away, it could be cut out relatively easily. This part is connected through here, and this part is connected as you go around the heel. But this part through here is all not connected. So if you did want to cut this out, I don't think it would be very hard. Not something I would recommend. Again, I think Adidas does have it in there for a reason. But if you really weren't a fan of it, it's definitely something you could take a little DIY to. The inside of the boot is symmetrical, as you have that upper wraparound right down there to give you good service for kicking the ball there. And then working your way to the laces, you do have a symmetrical lacing system on here. As I mentioned, you have that cage wrapping up to the 4 top lace holes on either side. So that should give you a pretty snug fit, both throughout the boot here, as well as a lot of lateral support, which is good. Rollover is never good. So if you have something that can restrict that movement side to side, definitely is a good feature. Again, just I think it looks a bit bulky and might take up a bit of weight. I'll be able to tell you guys a little bit more about the lacing system once I throw these on later in the video, so stick around for that. Just one little note, the lace tips are yellow. Just a cool little detail. There's no branding on there or anything, but just a nice little detail that they've added in. Working our way to the outsole, again, probably an area, a bit of controversy with this boot, just from my opinion. This boot is listed as a firm ground and artificial grass boot, so it is technically able to be played on both, but you can see that these studs are pretty short, at least for a firm ground boot. You can see there you have the 7 studs up front and the 4 studs in back, so not anything super radical there, but again, they are relatively short. So if we can get that in focus, these back 2 studs are conical. If we can show there, they look a bit triangular, but once you see the final stud form where that's actually going to be biting the ground, you can see it is conical. It's tough to get that in focus there for you. These 2 studs are triangular, as you can see, and then as you work your way up, these 4 studs are triangular, these 2 up top are conical, and then this 1 stud right in the middle actually has the M for Messi, so let's get that in focus. So the 1 stud in the middle does actually have an M. I think it's be a little bit too tough for my camera to pick up lighting wise, but maybe you can see it there, hopefully you can. These studs to the top, a black cutout frame here. Adidas calls it the Messi Gambi-Trax. This boot being a Messi boot, all the technology does have that Messi theme to it. So this is the Messi Gambi-Trax outsole. It's designed to cut down on weight with these cutouts throughout, while still providing a lot of support. Underneath this black frame, you still do have this hard plastic that makes up the inside of the shoe. So you do have a hard inside, and then this outsole is over it. Taking a look at the insole, you'll see it has the Messi 15.1 with the Built to Win branding there. It feels like it's a very, very short-haired felt. Just a regular material, nothing is going to pose any issues there. And it is a single layer of black foam. It feels thicker than the Ace, one thing to note. Again, we'll have a full comparison between these 3 boots coming soon, so be on the lookout for that. So guys, taking a look at some of the other details, this back area that wraps around before it switches to that synthetic that makes up the front is a bit of a harder, coarser material. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but again, doesn't make a huge difference because you're not really going to have much control on this part of your foot anyways if you're hitting the ball with it. That same material does make up the tongue underneath the laces, but it does feel a bit softer down here. And then taking a look at the inside of the boot, you see, it might be a little tough. There are some black and blue detailing, kind of pixelated detailing throughout. Tough to see there. If I unlace these for you real quick, you can see that the tongue has a bit of padding. You can see where that is right there. It's just a little bit extra padding up top. It thins out right at the very top of your foot. Just one little thing to note there. Again, it is that very, very short-haired felt material that makes up the inside of the tongue as well as the insole. Around the heel cup, you have this more polyester feeling material, and then running the inside of the boot as you work your way down from here around the toe, it feels more of like a nylon. As with previous Messi boots, you do have a bit of internal padding, not much at all, but it is something that it is worth taking note of. It feels almost like a blister pad, and this one has it from here, making up this zone here. Comes all the way down, actually almost right till here. So this zone here, as you work your way around to the outside of the boot, it has that same padding that comes up here and makes up this section on the outside of the boot as well, while the toe box is untouched. You just have that one layer of polyester that makes up the liner, and then this outer material that makes up the upper. It is thicker than previous F50s, but definitely not the thickest that I've ever seen on a boot. Still a very thin upper. It's going to give you a pretty good touch on the ball. I can give you guys more insight into this boot once I go through these on feet. So without further ado, let's head downstairs and throw these on for you. So guys, as I put these boots on feet and lace them up, the first thing that really comes to mind to summarize them is bland, honestly. There's nothing really about this boot that sticks out to me. Anything from appearance to feel, to performance, nothing really sticks out. The comfort isn't over the top, but it's not uncomfortable in any way. The studs, they're not the most comfortable stud pattern I've ever worn, but there's nothing bad about them either. They feel, again, as I mentioned in the review portion, they are a bit shorter, but it still is your kind of traditional firm ground stud pattern. Just to talk about playing surfaces for a minute, I feel that the firm ground artificial grass combination is a bit gimmicky. Just my personal opinion. I've played at the D1 level collegiately, as well as the highest club level in the academy system before I went off to school, and I can't think of one person who actually wore a pair of artificial grass boots. Everyone that I've ever played with always would wear just a regular pair of firm ground boots, pretty much no matter what surface we were playing on. If it was wet and we were playing on grass, some people would switch over to the soft grounds, which obviously I understand. I would do that as well. But no matter what, if we were on regular artificial grass, artificial turf, I would play, and my teammates would all play in regular firm ground boots, and none of us ever had any issue with that. So this was one thing that I wanted to add in my 2 cents with that. I'm sure if you were on artificial grass with the artificial grass boots, they'd perform perfectly fine. I'm not arguing that. I just feel that if you were to take those and then go over to the firm ground surface, firm natural grass, you might have a little bit of an issue, especially if it gets a little damp or if you play at a level where they water down the field beforehand, which they do collegiately sometimes. So it's just one thing to consider when buying these boots. With that being said, I do think that if you play on artificial grass primarily, you will be very satisfied with these boots as far as performance goes with the grip. That cage feels like it is going to give you a bit of lateral support. Again, it didn't stick out to me where it was the most comfortable thing, but it definitely wasn't uncomfortable. I grabbed a size 9 US, which is my true size. I'm sure you guys are aware of that if you've seen my videos before. They fit pretty well, nothing that stood out for me. Again, the word that comes to mind when I wear these boots is just bland. The color doesn't stick out in any way. It is a relatively new color, but it's nothing that really catches my eye and makes me say, oh wow, look at that boot. Nothing that's just super impressive to me. Weight-wise, nothing really stood out for me here either. Definitely were not the lightest boots I've ever worn, but didn't feel heavy on foot either. I felt like I had something on my foot, but it didn't feel like I was being weighed down. So you can take that with a grain of salt. Nothing that's too horrible, but definitely isn't the lightest boot compared to some of the previous F50s before those were replaced by the new Adidas Revolution. The lacing system, as I mentioned, is that symmetrical lacing system right up the middle. So relatively comfortable. Can't really go wrong with that, so nothing too much to talk about there. It does wrap right into the cage, so that's one thing, again, to add with wrapping in that snug fit throughout the boot. The sole plate felt pretty good as well. Again, right in that middle ground of not feeling too stiff, but not feeling too flimsy. Even after wearing these boots for a short amount of time, I'm not expecting any break-in period, really. Usually just from wearing a boot a little bit, I can get a feeling of if I'm going to have blisters or not, as far as any irritation in any areas on foot. But these felt pretty comfortable. I don't think that there's going to be much rubbing or much irritation throughout that's going to give you many blisters. I think that covers just about everything on feet. Let's head back upstairs and we'll wrap this up. So guys, that was my on feet opinion and a quick review of the boot. One thing I wanted to add, as I showed you on the right shoe, you do have that Adidas branding and that kind of rubber material on top. On the left shoe, it isn't actually symmetrical. You do have the Messi branding. It is in that same rubber material where you are going to get some feeling to it. I just wanted to show you guys that. As I mentioned, a relatively bland boot. Wasn't super impressed, but definitely wasn't disappointed either. Not my favorite pick from the new Adidas Revolution, but we'll go further into that in detail when I do the full comparison of those three boots. So be on the lookout for that. That'll be coming soon. All three of the new Adidas boots, including the Messi 15.1, they do come in at $220, so a bit pricey, but nothing over the top. It is a top-of-the-line boot, so you are going to be paying that top-of-the-line price. These boots do go on sale July 1st. This video should be up within a day or two of that release date. So check out eastcoastsoccershop.com if you are interested in purchasing these boots. The other two boots from the Adidas Revolution will also be up there, so check both of those out too if you're interested. If you want to see some more detailed shots of this boot as well as the other boots that we've recently got in store, you can do that on our Instagram at @ECSoccerShop. I highly recommend that. As I mentioned in the previous video, we will be doing a giveaway at some point soon. Can't give you too many details on that right now, but I would just recommend staying tuned. Be on the lookout for information coming there. Besides that, guys, I hope I covered everything with this boot. If you have any questions, throw them down in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer them for you. With that, guys, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And with that, we'll see you in the next video.